I'm so disappointed last week.
I apologize. We had to cancel last week, but okay, we're back and we're studying now about Shabbos, and we're on page Nun Hey. And just thank you for coming back. So we were comparing the many comparisons between Shabbos and the Beis Hamikdash and the temple, understanding that those comparisons not only tell us a little bit about the temple, but also about the special nature of Shabbos itself. Reach HaShabbos, the scent of Shabbos. Zeh haya hareach shel Beis Hamikdash. This was the scent of the Beis Hamikdash. Tamid tiisi heichan munach hareach miuchad shel Shabbos Kodesh. So in other words, there was a special reach nichoach we talked about already called the ketores. Ketores was always, in other words, it would smell so beautiful that the Gemara in Yoma tells us that the women never had to buy perfumes, right? That they put Chanel out of business, and you would not be able to go anywhere without the beautiful scent of Yerushalayim. And it went on for miles, and the ketores was something that was that added to the splendor and the beauty of Jerusalem and the Beis Hamikdash. So where is the reach of Shabbos, right? Where's that parallel? I've been drawing comparisons between the temple and this. So, Amam Ladas Harizal Yesh Inim Yuchad Lekachat Hadasim Rechanim Chabad Shabbos Ach Minag Zeh Lo Mekubal Aglo. There is a special custom, according to Arizal, to take scented hadassim, myrtle, for the honor of Shabbos, and not everyone does it. Some Sephardim will do this. They'll take hadassim. You ever see at the Shabbos table? They'll take hadassim. They'll make a brave and maybe some eats baby salmon. So that's a custom a lot of people have. Actually, the origin of that goes back to a Gemara that when Shimon Bar Yochai and his son went out of the cave the second time, they saw a man who was carrying two myrtle branches. And they said, "What are you doing this for?" And he said, "One is L'chavod, they're both L'chavod Shabbos, one's Shamor and one's Zachor." Because it says in the Dibros, the first set of Dibros, Shamor, second set of Dibros is Zachor, Shabbos Kadsho, and he was able to celebrate those two with those two myrtle branches. And a minhag, a Kabbalistic minhag emerged many years later to take two myrtle branches, two hadassim, like we have no lulav, and to smell them on Shabbos. So Asaper lachem sipur amiti, but I'll tell you truthful stories. Says Sipur Rav Simcha Wasserman. He says Simcha Wasserman, Benosha Gon Rav Chanan Wasserman, Zecher Tzaddik L'Bracha, Hashem Yinkom Damav. Chanan Wasserman, who was killed in the Shoah, liquidated in ghetto, Warsaw ghetto. Shoshimesh Kirav Los Angeles. He served as the Rav in Los Angeles. There was a family there of people who had come back into Yiddishkeit. Shizkar Yahadut Darko, Uvanam Hagado Higia Baruch Hashem Legil Bar Mitzvah. And their older son had reached the age of Bar Mitzvah. Losa Mishpacha, for that family, Hayu Harbe Yididim, Ukrove Mishpacha. There were many relatives and friends. They decided, let's make the entire bar mitzvah in a hotel. Since the hotel was outside the city, they said, okay, if you can't make it for the entire mitzvah, we're going to make a special suda during the week, rather than having to violate Shabbos. Rav Wasserman Nesiva Kolshi Lohaya Yachol Ligia Sham Shabbos. For whatever reason, Rav Simcha Wasserman couldn't arrive on Shabbos. Yom Shishi Baboker we kasher LaBaalas Simcha Eachel La Mazel Tov. Please send Mazel Tov for me, but Mechila, I can't come. And he said he was troubled that he couldn't personally join in the simcha. Be'emshech shal osa harav im hichina chamin cholent l'Shabbos. So the Rav said, "Did you prepare cholent?" Right? Beyonce shalo, no, kavod Rav. Kain hi amra. Hayedidim shalano einam yodim ma ze chamin. Our friends don't know what chamin is. Kol machalam sheichin l'Shabbos yu karim. All of our food is cold. Kol habsarim v'tosefes, including the deli and all the other side dishes. All the stuff is cold. Amar lo harav. Ani vakesh mimcha shebechol ofen techini chamin. At least make a cholent. That's what I say in my house. At least make a cholent, right? Can move on. Shebakasha so shalarav his kablen. His request was received by the Baalei Simcha. Babokir Yom HaShabbos, it was the morning of Shabbos. Netzra liyad malon mechonit, a car stopped by the hotel. Mitocha yatsu zug anashim mevugarim hem nichnasu levet malon. An older pair of older couple walked in and to the hotel. Veta netzra isha v'amra, the woman stopped and said to Bailam, Ani enini yachola bo netzei mikan miyad. I can't. We have to leave right away. Ve'od b'terem hispiku baalei hasimcha legeshet aleihem, and the Baalei Simcha approached them and far ne'elmu mina ofak, and they've already left, right? The motz, right? The parking lot or wherever it was. The motzi Shabbos is kasher Baalei Simcha levarer ma era b'diuk. What exactly happened? Va'az shamu mehem et ha'maisa mufla bo. Ish zois anitel shoah. This woman was a Holocaust survivor. She was taken from her house at age 6. Spent a number of years in the camps. And after the war, when it was finished, she went to America. She built her house. She didn't remember anything from her childhood in Poland. Lo Abba, lo Ima, not her father, not her mother, lo Shabbos, lo Kol Samman Yehudi Acher. And not any of the simanim, right? Not any signs of another Jew. Nothing in Yahadut whatsoever. Ve'uvda zu mamash har sola t'chayim. It destroyed her life. He nista afilu lo levites bepsychologim, psychiatrim. Went to psychologists, psychiatrists. She asiu lo shilachzor es ha'avra, to help her reclaim the past. Velo also beyadam, and they weren't able to do so. V'neba also Shabbos gorolis. It was by chance that Shabbos shenichnas levit malon ve'richa dereach hachamin, and she smelled the cholent. Peta kol tzaf ve'ola leneged einea kilu kara yom. She remembered everything. Ma kara kasher chatva osa me'abayis b'Bologna, when she was taken from her house. Hayazeh the Shabbos Kodesh. It was on Shabbos. With bayis zeh hayareach shel chamin, and cholent was cooking in her house. Ve'atak shericha dereach hachamin hakol chazar. It all came back to her. Kol zichronot hayaldut me'abayit, all of her memories from her youth. Acham behov, he haisa baalam. L'chein lo haisa yichola l'hamshich. She couldn't continue. V'echlita l'shuv l'beisa, and she decided she's going to go back to her house. Shamati shahazug hazeh naaseh ba'al tshuva amitim. They all came back to the Torah. L'fnei shavua bat shelahem hitchatna b'chor yeshiva. This and in front and 1 week ago, he said. Now I guess the author is saying this. Their daughter married someone from the yeshiva. We see that the smell of Shabbos, look how many years, look how it went through. The smell of a cholent went through the Holocaust and came out the other end, right? This is not the scent of the cholent that we're speaking about. We're not talking about we're not Reach Shel Shabbos. There's something else. Shalom Bayis. I'm thinking about something else he's saying. That's a great story, by the way. That story needs to be repeated. I have to think about that. Before I forget it, I should throw it into a drasha sooner or later. Otherwise,
it's very true. I think that sometimes a smell. That's true. It's actually the smell.
Yeah,
Right.
it's the strongest
memory. Bring back
It's the strongest memory evoker since.
No, I'm sure that.
wow. Yeah. Okay. So he says, don't believe that this is the I don't believe he says this is the smell of Shabbos. What is the smell of Shabbos? It's Shalom Bayis. It's peace in the home. Here we go. There's a special din of Shalom Bayis. It's written in the Sefer Tomar Dvorah, Rav Moshe Cordovero. He's buried in Tzfas, all the Kabbalists, all the blue graves there. And it's and one of the students, I believe, the Arizal, and one of the late Kabbalistic works. Kasav shafilu be'ofanim shalpi Torah mutter, early Kabbalistic. Shalpi Torah mutter af tzarich lichos, even though sometimes you could be angry, can move on low cost panimi, it's not an inner anger, elakas chitzoni, it's an external anger. Kom b'Shabbos ein lichos. You're not allowed to be angry on Shabbos, he says. That's the halacha. It is usher to be angry on Shabbos. Wow. I should tell that to everyone. Who knew that? Who knew that, right? A lot of people get angry on Shabbos, but you're not allowed to be. Ki b'yom zeh ha'olam mitmatek besod oneg ve'ein donin b'Shabbos. Because this is the day that we are sweetened with the secret of joy, and therefore we don't have judgment on Shabbos. Yeshna halacha miuchedet. There's a special law. Shabbos tzricha lishror b'bayit avira tova. You have to bring an atmosphere that is good into the house on Shabbos. Shalom, peace, shalva. Shalva is like almost like a divine peace from the other world, right? B'meshech kol esrim v'arba shot shel Shabbos, 24 hours of Shabbos. Kodesh avira chayevet liot ne'ima. It has to be pleasant atmosphere in your house. And there's a nation because you're in the base of Mikdash, right? So you can't raise your voice. Everything's soft-spoken. You don't get irate. You don't lose your cool.
I just want to say he does clarify that it doesn't mean you can't be angry. It just rather he says an external show of it.
Yes, that's what he said.
Right.
He said in the parentheses, can move on low cost panimi el cost chitzoni. We're not talking inner anger. We're talking external anger. Right. So that's what it means there. That feeling internal anger. The recording of this will show a person walking back and forth on a phone.
Yeah.
Feeling it on the computer is right. Yeah. No, my camera's on. It's recording. So the inner dimension. We're allowed to be angry, but how we express it is the problem. Zu achas habayot shel Shabbos. And this is one of the problems of Shabbos. Sachli pam Yehudi she'eno shomer Torah mitzvos. B'mesh kol shvua ani ba'avoda. V'ishti lo b'bayit. I'm working. My wife is not in the house. Anach nifgashim Rabbis was the only time we see each other is Shabbos. Azim tchilat marivos. That's when the fights begin. Of course. The greatest secret for Shalom Bayis is don't work together. Shabbos lo nisna avor zeh. Shabbos wasn't given to be a time and a means of provoking machlokes. It's supposed to bring about a communal feeling, oneness, love. The expression Shabbat Shalom, the idea of Shabbat Shalom isn't a modern day Hebrew poetic expression that came up in the modern day Medina. Shabbat Shalom is something that came from the time of the Gemara. Bechnisaso, when Shabbos begins, what do we say? Shalom. Uvitzaso, Omer, Shabbat hi milizok, v'shivto b'shalom. We don't call Shabbos prevents us from having to cry out in pain and in need, and we shivto b'shalom. Shvisa Shabbos tzrich liyasos mitoch shalom shalom. We see that shalom surrounds, like bookends, the day of Shabbos. We begin Shabbos with peace. We end it with peace. Zeu yofi shel reach haShabbos avira miuchedet hasoreret b'bayit. That which rules over the household on Shabbos is not a good smell, which is for sure beautiful, but it's the peaceful atmosphere that really governs, that really rules on Shabbos. Milizok, za'aka, to cry out. Shabbos does not let us cry out. We're not allowed to make bakashos on Shabbos. So Shemona Esrei and Shabbos is missing the middle section of bakashos, right? We just did the first three, and the last three, and then we have a middle bracha about the day of Shabbos, Kedushas Hayom. Whereas during Shemona Esrei, during the week, Shemona Esrei, 19 brachos actually, and we have all the bakashos, all the things we're requesting, refuah, and for the world, and for the rain, for parnasa, etc. Right? So all those things, justice, all those things are not requested on Shabbos. You would think Shabbos you would, but the answer is no. Shabbos we don't have to. It prevents us from crying out. Now, when we say the Mishaberach Cholam on Shabbos, we actually end it with Shabbos milisok refuah korolovo. Shabbos prevents us from crying out, and refuah will come eventually.
So all those groups that say Tehillim on Shabbos.
Some people think that you shouldn't say Tehillim on Shabbos like that. Rav Schwartz pointed that out.
I thought it was specified Tehillim. Like
Yeah,
you
you
can
can
just
learn-
say Sefer
You
Tehillim,
could
but
learn
you
Sefer
can't say
Tehillim.
it, like,
Yeah,
and
you
then
could read
do
Sefer
the-
Tehillim. Sefer Tehillim's a beautiful Sefer. You could read Sefer Mishlei and Eov, and you can read the Yirmiyahu if you like. Read Tehillim. No, the recitation of Tehillim on Shabbos was not, meaning as a public recitation where we get up in the tzibur and we daven Tehillim for something. When there was an emergency state where Israel's under war, exception was made. But ordinarily, we don't do that on Shabbos.
Even if we're in our own home and.
You could say Tehillim yourself.
What I learned is then you don't do like you hear it's on for a specific name.
That makes sense because we're not doing bakashos.
Right.
That's so. I would say that this way. If someone asked me, should they do it? Absolutely, sit down. It's better than playing mahjong. Sit down and say Tehillim. Well, you doubt that you like mahjong?
No, I don't either. I don't know anything about it.
Right.
I know what it is, but.
Right. But I think Tehillim's a good thing. And if you do it as just you're reciting Psukim Tehillim, there's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, and you're.
Keep in mind all of your Talmud Torah and all of your Kriyas Torah should be for Cholo. That's okay. But keep in mind the Shabbos Milizog, the idea that though Shabbos prevents us from crying out, we're going to mention the names of the Cholim anyway on Shabbos. So we kind of do it anyway.
Yeah, why do we do it?
I don't understand.
We do it. It's like when Lahavdil, when you go to a funeral and say in the month of Nisan we don't say Hesped and they go on and say Hesped anyway. So you have to first announce that we don't do a Hesped eulogy in the month of Nisan before you say the eulogy.
So we're just like not listening.
They're basically saying, look, human need, we need to daven for people. People need to feel like they're doing something. So the MS, we don't have to daven for anyone on Shabbos, but we feel we need to. So maybe it's for us. Hashem is Rachmanas on us. We need to daven for. We need to feel like we're doing something.
We should trust.
Okay. Yeah, the ideal.
That closing part when you're saying Tehillim as a group, there's a special one for Shabbos.
There you go. That's exactly why. Now you know why. Because see, I'm not familiar with it because I don't go to many Tehillim groups, but she was referring to some sort of tefillah that was probably edited to reflect this concept. It might have that Tehillim in it. Mizrah Shabbat is one of the Tehillim. Right. Okay. So why is there shalom bias Shabbos? Why is there a din? B'yar inyan pashut. Kol mitzad atmo yachid. Everyone's an individual. Bal isha. Kol echad. Ba mereka acher. Everyone comes from a different mold, right? Background. Shem mitachtim b'beit paytecha. When they come together under one roof, miteva dvarim notza b'neim ma'avak shel koach. And you have a struggle of talents and abilities, right? This is the koach party, right? Kanachai. Hu omer v'tzedek, and in truth, shekach tzarich liyos v'hi omeres hafuch. He says, I'm right. It has to be this way. And she says the opposite. Reuven, and Rachel is Rachel, and Shalom Bayis. If Reuven is Reuven and Rachel is Rachel, there's not going to be any peace because they're coming from different perspectives. And so this is a very progressive idea here. We're talking about two concepts of truth, right? The postmodernists will say that one of the things that we have is an idea that everybody has their own definition of truth, and all of it's true. The classical, religious model that's absolutely not true. I mean, there are people who are wrong, right? So, but postmodernists say that your truth is true to you. So therefore, but what he's saying here is something interesting, right? Like the turkey prince. Turkey prince lives under the table, thinks he's a turkey. So Nachman says, how do you get the turkey prince out? You know the story. Once the prince of the king was sat under the table without any clothing, flocking like a turkey, and brought all his wise men to try to solve the problem. And they got the therapist, and they got this one, the drugs involved to try to, nothing. So one of the younger officers said, let me try. And the older doctor scoffed at him and said, sure, go for it. Went under the table and also removed his clothing. This part of the story is a little strange because when the PJ Library depicted this, they show an older man with his clothing up under the table with it's a little strange. But he said, what are you doing? He says, I'm a turkey. Goes, oh, you're a turkey? Okay, yeah. So the man puts a shirt on, puts his clothing on. So what are you doing? You're a turkey. He says, I'm a turkey, you wear clothing. And the boy puts on clothing. And then he starts to eat regular food under the table. So what are you doing? He says, a turkey can eat nice food. Why not? Okay. He starts to talk. So what are you doing? He says, well, a turkey can speak also. So he come with me up above the table. He says, why? Because a turkey can sit at a table as well. So what does he do? The boy was cured, and the king rewarded this young man handsomely. He didn't he didn't tell him you're not a turkey. He told him that your truth is true, but you can still be part of this world. And think about whatever someone's going through, right? It's very hard to convince them that they're wrong. Instead, we try to work with them with whatever they're thinking. It's a tough thing to do because so much of this is wrapped into religion and politics and social norms and all the things. We want to convince everyone that they're crazy, and we're not. But it's not effective. So let them all be. Rav Nachman's very big into this stuff. Let them all live with their own psychosis as long as they're living, and that's okay. At the end of the day, right? Well, okay. So you have to protect everyone else, but in the end of the day, we'll figure out who's right later on. But we have societal norms. We have things like that. So if you can get someone, so that's the turkey prince. But the problem is, right? You have to acknowledge that the other person has a truth to them, and if you deny someone's truth, it's catastrophic. You can't tell them they're wrong, they're crazy. You'll never have a conversation. Every doctor, every wise man said, no, we have to convince this turkey he's not a turkey.
I think it's like Alzheimer's. They say when someone Alzheimer's says, "Oh, your son or wife died a few years ago."
Right.
You're supposed to say to them, "She's sleeping now." It's
Right.
She's not,
Don't deny their
don't
truth.
deny it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a powerful idea.
Now, that's the first hallmark of trying to deal with people with Alzheimer's, that you're not supposed to argue with them. And my father lives with a lot of people who have dementia. And he tries to argue with them about it. And I said to him, and I said, Dad, just don't do this. I'm telling you, just don't do it. You do this.
Other people figure it out, and
hope.
usually they have rachmanis, and usually they.
Yeah, but he feels that it's for his own good to try and set the record straight, so to speak.
Oh, of
I
course.
said, Dad,
He's right. He's right. He's older.
He
also.
understands. I said,
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from. I said, but that person cannot understand where you're coming from. But when you do, that just makes them
Right.
frustrated and angry, and you shouldn't. It's wrong to do.
Right.
And but it's hard because he's a little.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The good thing is if you make a mistake in dealing with it one time, the next time you try it again and do it right next time.
Well, I mean, I really try to, within his limits.
Right. Right.
move him
So it's
in the right
a delicate
direction.
balance. It's a very delicate balance. Shabbos Kodesh now. So now you have Rachel and Ruvain. They each have their own truths. So of course there's going to be a fight. In other words, he's taking the mahalach that there is no such thing as a naturally peaceful home. That doesn't make any sense. They're two different people. Their definition of truth, even if they're very similar, they could be twins. Well, they wouldn't be married. They could be twins and they're still not similar. They're two different people. Their perspective is different. So two people in a room are always going to have a conflict, no matter what. Now, what do you do about that? We lose our independent identity on Shabbos. Ein Reuven ve'ein Rachel. There's no Reuven, there's no Rachel. Yesh rak Hashem Yisparach. It's only God. Anachnu ochlim al shulchano shel Hashem. We eat by the table of God. Anu orchav. We are His guests. B'derech klal ha'ish va'isha einam rabim kishem orchim. A man and woman, they don't fight when they're guests. Right? You behave well at someone else's house. I mean, sometimes you have that awkward, like, oh, I said, yes, but if you're at Kadosh Baruch Hu's house, right? Beis Shelahem, Balabayis, Ibalasabayis, Avalitza Acherim, Avacher Mehem, and Balabayis were neither Melehim Mitach, and they work together. They're foreigners in that house. Moshel Madarodoma, Shnei Neros, two candles, Dolkim, Besoch Cheder. There are two candles lit in one.
Will do. Okay.
Two candles lit in one house.
Is-
Vehem mitvachim mi mehem meir yosef, and they're fighting who provides more light. When they go outside, makom bo meira hashemesh. Tan havikuach mafsik. The argument stops. When compare the candle of the sun, Oram Shoshne Haneros Yachad Batal Mutal. They're both batal, they both don't exist. So too, we sit at God's table, his light is so much greater. I mean, this is like the Balatanya from the Alter Rebbe of Lubavitch says this. So this idea is a very true idea. Okay.
The fragrance of the night.
Mhm.
I don't remember where I was. I'm someplace in Israel where they did a multi words not coming to me. You're sitting there and there are lights and videos and smells and
Wow.
sounds.
Sensory.
And thank you.
Also
And
sensor, right? Yes, the smells.
and the smell was bad. They said because you're killing the animals and the animals are dead and there's blood.
Oh, they're trying to
and
mess
this
with
is
your.
what it
They're
smelled
trying to
like.
mess with your head. Yeah.
Well, it worked.
Right.
My head was messed with and it made
Yeah.
sense to me.
The real those who really know about the theater, about theater and so that they like to mix messages. Sometimes you'll do like a horrific sound, a pleasant picture, or a horrible picture with a beautiful sound. And it's really disturbing. You don't know what to do with it, right? Like walking to the gas chambers with Wagner playing in the background. Like, what do you do with that, right? So there's a lot. It's very complex. The senses don't know what to do about it. It's a powerful tool. That's why, in general, when a parent is not able to communicate with a child, and the child sees harshness, and a parent didn't understand, parents is by definition rachamim. So when they see a parent who's not being merciful, the children don't know what to do because they're confused, and then they get distorted about their sense of mercy. If that's mercy, then there is no mercy in the world. Or if that's what a parent does, then then that is what we're supposed to be doing. That is mercy. And then they repeat those behaviors. So it's really dangerous when you play with multiple stimuli and you try to infuse it and try to create mixed messages. Bilal Shabbos Megim Habaisa Poskim Omrim Shalom Aleichem Malchei Sharis Malchei Elyon Bochum Shalom Baruch Shalom Messiah Tzeisim Shalom Malchei Shalom. We kick the angels out. Hapelahu Madua Omrim Malchei Lazov. Why do we tell the angels to leave? Madua Shalo Yisharu. Why can't they remain? Hayim Mafrim Lana. Are they bothering us? I'll make space for an angel. Shela zu nishal merav Chafetz Chaim. It was after the Chafetz Chaim. Who ono omrim shalom aleichem l'malachim shel Shabbos. Tzeislim shalom malachim shel Yemos Achol. We're kicking out the angels of the weekday. We're welcoming the angels of Shabbos. Ke'ein mashaya v'sulam shel Yaakov, like Yaakov's ladder. Shel malachim shel Chul ozvu v'malachim shel Eretz Yisrael ba'u. The angels of outside of Israel are leaving, and the angels of Eretz Yisrael are arriving. I have another way to answer the question. When the Kohen was working on the outer altar, it wasn't usher for other people to be there. They were permitted. When he went on Yom Kippur to work in the inner sanctum, because it should say so. No one else is allowed to go into the Olam Moed when the Kohen Gadol went into the inner sanctum. They all had to leave. Chazal Medrash Hosifa Afilu Osem Shegos Behem Pnei Adam. Klamar Afilu Malachim Asar Yod Sham Beis Avodas HaKohen. The angels had to leave the base of Mikdash in that moment. Not just other people. When the Holy of Holies was being occupied. Madua, why? Why did the angels have to leave? Mishum shezeu rega shel yichud ben HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. This is a moment of closeness with Hashem, Yisrael and Krovo. Rega shel kesher shenidreshet bo pratiut mishlemet lachein. It's a moment of connection, right? Va'afilu malachim in kol hakavod l'gdulas mekdushasim tzrichim lazov es hamakam because it's a time in which God is with his relatives. In that moment of yichud, nobody else can be there. They come back to our house with us, the angels. We find a table of Shabbos that has been set up beautiful with flowers and plates and silver and challah and wine. We stand up and we say to the angels, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Sharis, Malachei Elyon, welcome. Bochem Shalom, come in. Baruch Shalom, bless me for peace. Please, my holy friends, my angels, anu omdim ke'es l'kadesh ala yain l'geshes l'sudas haShabbos. We're now going to sanctify the wine. We're going to have a meal for Shabbos. Sudas da'atika kadisha, the ancient suda besuda zu chol adam lo yeh ba'ol moed. Lachain teischem l'shalom. We know that the angels couldn't be in the Olamoid, therefore you have to leave. Malchei Shalom. Aleichem la'azov case, you have to go out. Kizeu rega shel yichud ben Hashem yisparach la'amo Yisrael. Kedusha zu afilu malachim einam yichom liot shutfim. I have to